This is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and welcome to the Three Girl Jam birthday blog hop. I am so excited to be participating in this blog hop, and pay close attention to the whole video because there's a prize that I'm going to be discussing at the end of the video. So let's get started. I decided this time I wanted to do something a little bit different. It's been a while since I've pulled out my Cricut Imagine, and so I decided to pull out the Imagine and just kind of have some fun with it. I'm not using any stamps in this project, so let's get started. I'll show you what I used and then we'll get on with the card. I used from Fiskars, I used my Scallop Sentiment Punch. I'll just set that aside because I've already done the punching with it. I have some foam tape. I also have some scrappy tape. Now this is some tape that I picked up. I ordered some score tape, and the place that I ordered it sent me this to try. So this is the first time I've ever tried it, but we're going to be using that. From Close to My Heart, I'm using the Olive Little ink. It's a pigment ink, and I have a big stack. I think it's 10 different colors of these little inkers, and they work great for edging. They work great just period, but for edging. From Three Girl Jam, I'm using Cherry lipstick. And as I mentioned, I pulled out my Imagine, and I'm using the Yummy Cricut cartridge. Now, I think the only time I've used this was on a vinyl project that somebody asked me to do. So I believe I did use it for that project, but other than that, I think this is the first time I've used it. So I chose this image on page 20, which you probably can't see very well. But I'll show it to you in a little more depth. But I cut it twice. The first time I cut just the original feature, and I cut it at, I believe it was 4.2. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was 4.2, and I just cut it once, and that was the print and cut. And then I cut all of the layers again because I'm going to layer it. Then for my paper, my base paper is just white coordination from Joann's paper. It's that really thin paper that I use sometimes, and I use 12 by 12, and that's what I use to cut all of my different papers with, or print and cut all my different images and papers and things with. And it's relatively thin, but because I'm putting so many layers together on the card, it still gives the card a nice heavy feel. So it doesn't feel like it's thin cardstock, even though it really is. There's a lot of layers on it. So then I went to the back of the Yummy cartridge, and I decided on a couple of pattern papers. And I sized them down. I think I cut them at like one of them I cut at 5.2 and the other one at 5.3 so that I could get them both on one sheet of paper. And what it does when you do that on the Imagine is it scales the pattern that you're printing to be more to scale inside the size that you're printing. So I was just cutting small squares, so that worked out really well. And these are kind of chopped up because I've already done a lot of my cutting. And then I went to the back and I pulled some of the different colors. And there's 3 different colors here. There's this darker color, and this green, this light color that's almost purple, and then this pinker that coordinates well with the cherry lipstick. So I have already started putting together the card. So I'm going to pull that out over here. And let me just start with the inside and show you what I did. So the first thing I did is I took this light colored paper, and I actually made a mistake, and this was paper that I had actually originally cut for the front of the card. And anyway, I ended up cutting and wasting and having a problem. But I took a little bit of this darker, almost salmony colored paper, and I cut that at, I think it was 1 3/4 inches or so, and then I put a 1 inch rectangle, or 1.5 inch rectangle of the happy birthday. It actually says happy birthday, and you should be able to see at the end of the video in the photographs. You should be able to see that a little bit better. And I put them together, and I inked around them first, and then I took the Scallop Sentiment Punch, and I cut this at about I think it was about 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, and then I used the Scallop Sentiment punch to punch it, and then that gives me enough room here to put my message. So then when we move to the front, and everything's inked in that green, when we move to the front of the card, then I have the it's a standard A2 size card, and I have the darker pink as a base, so that's 5 1/4 by 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches tall, to fit my 5.5-inch card that's all white. Excuse me. And then this one I just went down a size, so it's 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches wide. And again, those are all inked around. And so now we're going to go to work on our next layer, and I've already started it. Now this is where I wanted to combine my 2 pattern papers. So what I did is I just cut a couple of pieces of each pattern paper so that it would be overlapping. But what I did at first is I cut what would originally be the next size layer. And so this is 3.5 by 3.5 by 4.5, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's just going down in 1/4 inch increments each time. And the reason I did that is because I needed a nice solid base for this. My original plan was to wrap a bow around here, but I decided not to. So this is just a piece that I cut, and this is the same width. So this is the 3.5-inch width. And then the size going this direction really didn't matter because part of that's going to be covered up, which is where the next part comes in, and it's pretty much a hexagon. Now you might notice that I went ahead and inked around this white even though I'm covering it up, but that's because I didn't want the white edges to show. I'm not inking around the card white. So I'm just going to set these all aside, and you'll see why I'm doing it this way in just a minute. And I've already lined up my piece of score tape here, or my this new scrappy tape, and I'm going to pull off the backing, and this is where I'm going to use my ribbon. So I am just going to unroll some of the ribbon, and I'm going to just trim that here. I tell you, I'm going to have to get an order off pretty soon because I am almost out of cherry lipstick. And I am just going to pleat this, oops, and go all the way across. I don't care so much. I am going to try to keep it straight because I've got that lined up, and I don't want it super, super ruffly. I'm trying to keep on camera and keep so I can see it at the same time. So I'm going to just turn the camera off and pleat it. Let me get it started so that well, I'll get it started and then I'll come back and show you at the end. Okay, so I'm back after having just about finished here, and all I'm doing is I'm just simply going across and finger pleating. When you see the front, you'll see that it's really not going to be straight. It's just going to look like a little party plate or a party favor or just something fun here. So now that's all down, and I'm going to come around and just trim off my ribbon, and then I'll trim it even here and just make sure it's good and secure. Now this card is going to be quite bulky actually, and so I am going to be putting I'm not worried about it because I'm not planning on putting it in a regular envelope. It's going in a little package, so it won't be a problem. Now I'm going to add, just for safety, I'm going to add an extra little bit here right at the edge of the ribbon. I want to put the glue down because I did add that bulk. I don't want to take the chances of it coming loose. So I'm just going to grab my quick dry here. You could use Tombow Mono or whatever you want. And I don't want a lot of glue. I'm just going to put a thin little line so that when I press down, I don't want it to come through to the front, but I do want to add that little extra dimension of adhesive there. And so we will put that, line that up. And now, because I've already got it all pre-inked around the edges, we can match that up, and I'll just set that down and really adhere it down well. So now I've got my little bow. Isn't that cute? So now we'll turn that over on the back side, and we will mount that to the front of our card. Now if you wanted to, you could probably even just stop right here and maybe put a stamp sentiment on the bottom of the card. I think I better put a little more adhesive there. Maybe put a stamp sentiment on the bottom of the card, but I'm not going to. We are going to then put our image. I don't use the Imagine very often. I figured out that according to they think that my internet connection is too slow, and that's why I have difficulty using the Imagine in the craft room. So until that issue's fixed, I can't really do everything with it that I would like to do. But every once in a while, it's fun just to pull out and play with. So I put quite a bit of adhesive on this because it's going over the top of my cake. I mean, of my ruffle right there. And this one's really flat. And I want to be sure that it's adhered down really well. And then this is just the original. Now that's cute, but let's add some more fun and some dimension to it. So what I did is I popped the table edge up on one thickness of foam tape. And I've got that all ready to go here. So we're going to start with that layer. I used quite a bit of foam tape. Initially, I just put some on the top and the bottom, but I didn't want the middle to collapse. So now I'm just going to line that all up just like so. So that adds dimension. Now when I start adding my layers, which it looks like I've lost one, I'll have to go back and find it. When I start adding my layers, then I have, because there's one thickness here, I need to put on the top of the cake, I need to put two thicknesses. Now you'll notice on this, if you look closely, that this layer, this particular cake, it ended up being a lighter color. That doesn't bother me. I think it's going to look fine by the time I'm all said and done, but I can tell it's about time for me to change my ink. So what I've done is by putting one layer of foam tape here, then and two layers up here, then the thicknesses coordinate together. And I've done the same with my other packages. And I may have to go back. I have one foam layer here, and then at the bottom I've got that double layer. On one of the packages I may have to add a little bit more. I'm not positive, but we'll see. So there, we're done with that. And then the next one I'm going to put is this one over here on the side. So again, where I have two thicknesses here and one thickness in the middle. Hope I didn't do that backwards. No, I didn't. Just to add that extra pop of dimension. Now I may need to go back and add a little bit more under here. We'll see. And then the last one here, the same. But before I adhere this one down, yeah, I think we're okay. I was concerned that I might need to kind of balance that out a little bit more. So there we have it. Now, so that is most of our card, and we're just about finished there, but I decided I wanted to go one more step of dimension, or texture, I guess we'll say. A little bit more interest here. So I have my stickles, which I have not used these in a while. So let's make sure that I don't have a clog. So what I'm going to do now is I am just going to go up the candles to start with. Just up the flame part of the candle and the candle itself. Not doing the outline at all, just the candle and the flame. And then down here, I think I'm going to do the same with the bow. Let's start with this bow. Just like that. And then on this one, let's do the green bow. Now these are just from Studio G. They're just their Studio G's glitter glue. And that part here, if you notice, I'm not even really adding more. I'm just using, I had a blob there, so I'm using that. And then let's do the same with this last bow. Just like that. So I had an idea of doing this cake, and I will show you my inspiration for this. I'm not doing a tutorial on the rest of what I'm doing for the blog. And actually, I don't think I'm going to show that. If you want to see the other piece, I want you to head over to my blog. I will tell you that I use Nana's Kitchen to make another project to kind of go along with this card. And there we have the finished card. But I use Nana's Kitchen to go along with it to create just a fun little other piece to go with it. So I want you to head over to the blog so that you can see that. And then the second reason I want you to head over to the blog is because if you head over to my blog, I am going to be choosing one comment from all the comments to win a special prize package from Julie at 3 Girl Jam. She is going to be giving throughout the blog, on 3 different blogs, she is offering a 50% off of your entire order. So it doesn't matter if you buy one small bundle of ribbon at $4.99 or if you hit the biggest bundle. However much you want to buy, you'll get 50% off. So the rules to get into that giveaway drawing are announced on my blog, and plus the whole, or I think all of the design team, if not all, most of the design team is participating in this blog hop. So be sure and head on over to my blog at www.djsundry.blogspot.com to see not only my project and the rest of my project, but also to find out how you can be entered into that giveaway. So thanks so much for stopping by today, and remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day. Bye.